right, welcome back everyone to the Rally Report. Guys, great episode lined up today with Gina, but before we dive into that, a bit on the rundown front. Obviously, as we all know, the season's almost back and we're already getting sprinkles of squash back in action. We saw the World Juniors, the World Games, and a couple challenger events throughout these past couple weeks. So a lot of buzz heading into the season, and we'll be doing a season preview with none other than Johnny Williams, where we'll look to cover World Junior events as well as who to watch out for and some big storylines ahead of the season. So feel free to message me on that front if you have any things that you want covered on that. And also, huge announcement for those who haven't been following along is I've been part of a website launch in tandem with Squash Radio and Squash University on QuashBadSquash.fr. Essentially, we're just centralizing all episode launches on there where you can keep up to date with new happenings. So treat it as like your content library of squash podcasts. And it seems like Bill over there at Squash Radio has single-handedly made the U.S. Open to be back as a platinum event after the public outrage of it dropping to a gold level tournament. So everyone go over there and give him a big thank you for all his hard work and the work he does for the squash world. But for today's rundown, I'm going to go ahead and cover some interesting stories from this summer that I think you might have missed. So the first story is with none other than Mustafa Asal. I know, shocker. And it has nothing to do with his movement, but more so some cryptic tweet he left last month. Obviously, don't back me on the validity of all this information because you know me, guys. I just follow the rumorville. And with that being said, so Asal tweets out on July 27th, and I quote, "There must be a solution. It's unacceptable that someone is being fought in their own country by certain people all these years and stays silent. I urge quick intervention before it's too late, and I will reveal everything." So yeah, from that, obviously I have no clue what he had meant, but then on an Egyptian press website a couple of days later, I'm going to summarize the main points of it, is that there was apparently a crisis that broke out with the board of directors of the Egyptian Squash Federation, headed by this guy named Amna. I'm not going to attempt to pronounce his full name here, but essentially because of a non-renewal of the contract of Asal's current coach, James Willstrop, which is interesting because I always thought Asal was paying him directly, but I guess it was covered by the federation. But anyway, Asal's camp obviously wants to continue to work with Willstrop till the end of at least LA 2028 Olympics. Now, the article continues on saying that the Egyptian Federation want him to appoint an Egyptian coach rather than a foreign coach, which it seems Asal said, no, I want to continue working with my foreign coach. And in this case, it's James Willstrop. And there's been some fight between those two parties, but the smoking gun of all this is the fact that the federation approves of Nour El Shabini being coached by a quote unquote a foreign coach, which we all know is Gregory Gaultier, but then they won't do it for Asal. And given the success of his season, you can see the hypocrisy in that. So that's story one. It seems like there's a lot of deep-rooted politics going on there, but haven't heard since. So I'm going to guess that Asal is probably still with Willstrop, whether that be through the federation or himself. Which is also brings upon like an interesting topic of how much these top players are paying their respective coaches and how many of them are actually paying them out of their own pocket and how many of them are actually being covered by their federation behind. So that's, story one. And the second story of this summer has to do with Mohamed Zakaria. I mean, he's been taking over headlines this entire season and also this summer. He's ranked 14th in the world. Again, at the age of 17, I don't know how many times I've said that at this point. But yeah, he's just won his second consecutive World Junior title without dropping a game for the second time in a row. And we'll probably be going for that third next year, which has never been done before on the men's side. And I'd bet a lot of money on him winning that. But more than that, a controversial story came from a huge sponsorship deal that he secured over this summer with a Pakistan food company called Rich's Venus. And they gave him a 5-year sponsorship deal that's going to be worth around $50,000. Now, if you look deeper into it, apparently CEO of this Venus group is a man named Adnan Assad, who just happens to also be the vice president of the Pakistan Squash Federation. Now, it seems like a lot of people from the Pakistan squash community and legends of the sport from there are speaking up about how it could have been better to have allocated this type of money and deals to their upcoming players, especially given that he's the VP of the Pakistan Squash Federation. So they'd want to support him. But, I get it. I get where they're coming from. It's not like Pakistan's struggling with talent. They have Noor Zaman. They obviously have Hamza Khan, who have been proper talents from Pakistan. But it just seems like the common theme for them has been for a while now that they have promising junior players, but they fail to successfully transition to the senior PSA circuit. And maybe this is the type of support that they've been missing for them to really flourish in that. But to me, this is an internal conflict with Pakistan. And on Zachariah's front, he can do whatever the hell he wants, right? He can get whatever sponsorship he wants and he needs, and it's fully deserved on his end. I mean, he's had a fantastic season. I mean, he's an unbelievable prospect. So good on him to secure this deal, but seems the rumorville chatter with him right now is the fact that there might be some potential nationality switches coming up soon. And his name is being thrown around the arena quite a lot right now with his connection with Qatar and Jonathan Power. And maybe even this deal has something to do with him potentially moving to Pakistan. But I do emphasize, I'm just speculating in all this. And because ahead of the Olympics, as each nation, it seems like more and more so is only going to get one male and one female player for participation, which sucks. But yeah, anyway, that's all I got for you guys today on the controversy front. And I guess that was the summer rundown. But let's shift it over to today's interview with Gina Kennedy, everyone. All right, look who's back. We got one of the first few guests who agreed to jump on the pod, which is now a couple years back. A bit wild to think about, but welcome back, Gina Kennedy. What's going on? Thank you for jumping back on.
Me.
Yeah, let's start. I know we just chatting right now before I hit the record button, but I just want to hear about what's been going on in your world. How's your summer been? I know the British Nationals coming up essentially in a week or two, right?
Yes.
And seeded number one. So yeah, I just want to hear about your off season and how you're feeling about this event.
Yeah, it's been good, thank you. It's always gone so quickly as always. I after World Tour finals, I went straight to New York to do my open squash camps, which I do every year, which was great. And then came back for a couple of weeks, got some good training in, and then actually flew back to New York and did some training with Rod Martin and Liv Weaver for a couple of weeks. So just got back from there last week, actually. So it was kind of a nice thing to do in the middle of summer, like go somewhere different, get some new stimuli. And then, now I'm back and have British Nationals in a couple of weeks. And then it's straight into back-to-back tournaments, starting with Ali Pali.
No fucking break whatsoever. Do you take time for a vacation during the summer or no?
So I didn't qualify for World Tour finals this year, like straight away. So I actually took my break after the British, and then Shabini texted me actually when I was on my 10th day without playing squash, being like, I know you're probably on off season, so just want to give you the heads up that I'm probably going to pull out of World Tour finals. And this was 4 or 5 days before she actually did. So she actually gave me 4 or 5 extra days to train and get ready, which was really nice of her. So I took my break before World Tour finals this year, and then have just been kind of going since then.
Wait, that's really nice of her, because she didn't have to do that, right? To text.
No, she did not have to do that at all. She is the best, honestly.
Wow.
I just love her and hope her summers and her recovery is going well. But she's the best. So she really helped me out.
Would there have been a scenario where you're like, I also don't want to participate, or is it too good for bang for buck to have to play that?
I can't imagine anyone turning that down, to be honest. Although obviously a couple of people might have done, because obviously Amina Orfi pulled out after I got in, literally the day before the tournament was about to start. And then I think Nada Abbas was the next on the list, and maybe someone else before Fayrouz got it. So I'm not sure if they were injured or something, or if they turned it down. But I think a couple of people must have said no for Fayrouz to get in. So not sure the situation there. But I mean, the money is so good, so I think it's worth it just to show up and give it your best.
Lisa, I actually had this question lined up for you about the World Tour finals. It's been a bit of a fiasco, I feel like, the past two, not in terms of the fans' perspective. Obviously, there's the way it's structured. It's if you don't win your first couple of matches, third match becomes meaningless. Some players aren't really trying.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on it?
Well, my thoughts are that the women always seem to try their best. There's a lot of money for third and fourth. It's about a $7,000 difference. So, that was my 4th World Tour finals, and I don't remember ever, you could correct me if I'm wrong, I don't remember ever seeing a female match where people aren't giving 100%.
You might be right about that. It's a recurring issue on the men's.
So that's not me like criticizing the men. I'm just saying I genuinely have no idea, because the money is good, like $7,000 for one match. I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't want to win that. So yeah, like I said, I can't think of that being a scenario on the women's in the 4 years that I've done it. But yeah, it is a consecutive fiasco with the men. I don't know why.
What's the vibe? What's the environment like at a tournament? Are players usually kind of fed up and kind of want to go on break, or are they pumped to get as much money as they can? Like, is it a mixed bag of emotions? What's the vibe when you get there?
Again, I think there is a big difference between the men and the women. I think we're obviously all tired and we're all like, oh my God, like can't wait for a break. That's for sure. And it's definitely not as intense. Like I wouldn't say the environment is as like nerve-wracking or as like serious. People are just, they're happy to have this kind of addition to the season. And it is definitely, even the women aren't as intense or like really care as much if they win or lose. But I still feel like, everyone's there warming up properly. The boys are as well. They're all there warming up properly, like getting ready. But yeah, I would say it's definitely a more chill. It's just like a good addition to the season, I think, for a lot of people. But yeah, I mean, I know every year it happens that the men seem to just kind of I don't know.
cause some drama on the but anyway, shifting gears. I know you mentioned about this off season. You were in the U.S. You came back to the U.S. to work with Rodney Martin, obviously with Olivia Weaver. Tell us sort of like how'd that come about. It's interesting to see, especially with where you're ranked in the rankings and Olivia Weaver, where she's ranked in the rankings. You don't really get to see a lot of crossover amongst like top players like that. How'd that come about, and how was that experience?
So obviously, have been like, Liv's a really good friend of mine. So I'm really close with her on tour, and obviously have seen kind of how Rod has helped her and has improved her, and see Rod at tournaments a lot, and like always have good chats, and like got on with him really well. So I've kind of been considering for a while that, I'd like to have the conversation about, kind of maybe coming over and doing a bit of work with him and seeing if he would be open to that. But I wanted to speak to Liv first, just because like she's a good friend of mine and I didn't want to step on any toes. And Liv has been kind of saying for the whole season, like, oh, you should come and train with Rod, you'd love it. And Rod has kind of said similar things to me. So I got the vibe that, they would be very open to me coming in. And yeah, before I did arrange it, I obviously spoke to Liv, asked her, she said it was all good. And then I called Rod and just said, look, I'm obviously at a point in my career where I reached top 5 last season. This season, I feel like I haven't got the results that I've wanted to, feeling a bit more confused about my game. And, with my ranking slipping, I want to kind of try something different and think you could help me. And he was really receptive to it and really was like, yeah, I believe, I know how I can help you a little bit. You should come over and train. So that's what I did. And really, really enjoyed it. He was amazing. The amount of like time and effort he put into me in those 2 weeks was just like really cool. And felt like I learned a lot. And it's a great environment he's got there, and obviously lives kind of experiencing that all the time. And it's just really cool to kind of see what goes on there.
Yeah, I mean, I get the impression that he's pretty ruthless in terms of breaking down players' games and what they need to work on. So,
he's just probably the most like detailed coach I've ever spoken to. But I think that's kind of that's really cool, and I think that's how you can make those incremental gains. At this kind of level that I'm at in my career.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to make you too uncomfortable in terms of sharing anything, but is this a bit of a teaser that you may be more so working with him long term? Is this kind of just a trial and error type of thing that you kind of just went over for?
I think we'll see. I obviously don't want to don't want to speak too soon, but I really, really enjoyed it, and then I'm looking forward to what's next. Sorry if that seems
no, don't have to say too much, but I'm curious does this is this the first time in your career where you've really felt like you wanted to ask different coaches, or has this happened in the past where you've attempted to try reaching? Because it seems like the whole coach-player relationship has really, it's kind of blown up in terms, wow, like Gina Kennedy with a new coach partnership has happened and people are like buzzing around the community. And so I'm curious, have you attempted this before? And is it a bit sensitive with, certain coaches already having certain players? Is that always something that becomes a bit of a clash?
Yeah, I think so. I think I've always, I've had the same coach since I was 12, Ben Ford, and it's obviously him. Like I'm still working with Ben and stuff, but I think we spoke last season and we kind of decided that it might be time for me just to get like a different perspective on things, and then it's been really good. I started doing some work with Mars Jenkins, who works at St. George's Hill, which is about an hour and a half from me, and that was really good as well because I used to hit with Mars a lot and he runs loads of pro squads and he's an amazing coach and has helped me a lot and he's been really helpful. But I felt that I've never left the vicinity really. Although I went to Harvard for 4 years, I never went out of my comfort zone to kind of go away and like just immerse myself in a completely new environment. And I think I got to the point where I was like, I didn't want to look back on my career and be like, I was just too comfortable kind of staying in the same proximity that I always have stayed in. So I think that's why I also wanted to kind of go and just try something completely new just to see, because although, Ben and Mars are obviously amazing and still doing stuff with both of them, I just thought it was time for me to get out of my comfort zone and just try something completely new, basically. But it is hard with other players and not wanting to step on their toes and everything like that. But at the end of the day, I think it's, obviously I have a friendship with Liv, so it's different. But other players who might want to work with Rod, it's just the decision is Rod's at the end of the day, isn't it? Like if I was...
Right.
If a player wanted to work with Ben, it's not my decision at all. It's his decision. So I think it's a coaching business at the end of the day. And if he wants more players, then that's great. So I think that's kind of the way that like coaches look at it, I think.
I see. That's very interesting insights on it. I'm sure Ben won't just be accepting every player.
Yeah.
Hopefully he's asking you. But Gina, last time you were on, which was a couple years back, I remember the theme of it was like how you're rocketing up the rankings and everything was smooth sailing. And it's been a couple of years now. I mean, to be fair, you've had an incredible amount of success, highest world ranking up to 5, still in the top 10. We'll go into the depth of that 4 to 10 spot in a bit, but I'm just curious. I had no idea about this IBS diagnosis thing.
Right.
And I don't know if you've already talked about it in other podcasts and stuff, but if it's all right with you, like, would love to, ask you about like how difficult that's been. It seems like it was already happening since a couple of years back anyway, something you've been dealing with essentially through a majority part of your career. But for those like uneducated like I am, like how difficult was that dealing with that?
Yeah, so in 2016, I got diagnosed with ulcerative colitis, which is an inflammatory bowel disease where basically ulcers form on the colon, and symptoms of this could be like, excruciating pain, having to empty your bowels like 30, 40 times a day, like blood in your stool, stuff like that. So obviously at first with those symptoms, you kind of think the worst and, it could be anything. So when I got diagnosed with ulcerative colitis, I was quite relieved, as, having like blood in your stool and stuff isn't always, a good thing. But, so I managed to get really good healthcare at Harvard, and after about a year, I got it all under control. And then when I graduated in 2020, I wasn't able to get under the same care on the NHS, so went on different meds and was able to kind of hold it off for a year or two. And then, so everything was fine. With ulcerative colitis, it's basically you can't cure the disease, but you can find ways to manage it. So when I'm not experiencing a flare-up, you wouldn't know I have ulcerative colitis. I wouldn't know, like you live a completely normal life and everything's fine. But the nature of the disease is that it does flare up from time to time. And when it does flare up, that's when things can get quite debilitating. So in 2022, I experienced like a really bad flare up after the Commonwealth Games, and I wasn't able to get it under control for 2 years, basically. So until actually, literally this time last year was when I finally found another doctor and was able to get the same meds that I was on at Harvard. So that was exactly, I've basically been flare-up free for a full year now, but that was the first time in 2 years that I kind of haven't had any symptoms. So I would say probably for 2 weeks out of every month, I would be like in a lot of pain, obviously having to go to the loo like 30-40 times a day sometimes, just and it can get quite isolating because obviously like I couldn't go on a walk or anything because if there wasn't like a bathroom near, like this anxiety would just get crazy. So I would kind of have to live my life based on, managing this kind of disease for a couple of years. But yeah, that's not to say every day was awful like that, but just kind of, that's kind of what the nature of the disease is, I guess. So,
damn.
Yeah, now that I've got it all sorted out, everything is, I literally haven't had one symptom in a whole year. So it's like been life changing. But yeah, when it flare ups, it can, it can be quite debilitating, I'd say.
Yeah. Wait, so you had the right medication at Harvard and essentially you're back to that medication. So that in between period is just, there was a switch up because of the healthcare issue.
Yes, exactly.
So were you just like, just get me the meds I was using at Harvard? Can we just get that?
Yeah, but the thing is, obviously in England, we're on the NHS, so I couldn't get the medication that I had at Harvard on the NHS because it was too expensive. But then luckily, long story, but my mum knew from work this doctor who was like the leading gastroenterologist and like world leading ulcerative colitis kind of researcher, and he basically put me on private medication through the NHS, so I get the medication for free. He's done it, but I wouldn't have been able to do it without kind of knowing him and having like connections basically. So yeah, it's very lucky.
The realities of adulthood healthcare right there.
Yeah, right.
In a nutshell. Like, it's fucking crazy.
I know.
Just like one simple med, there's so much politics behind it, but
it's crazy, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, so essentially like this past season was your first in a while. You don't have to deal with anxiety of it, so that's a plus. And
and again, like I said, it's not like when I say for 2 years I was experiencing flare-ups, I'm not saying like every day for 2 years I was like in bed not able to do anything, but a lot of days I would be like that. And when I was at tournaments, it was very stressful to like share a room. It was very stressful to when I'm playing a match and I'm like warming up, I'm just, people are looking at me like, what are you doing? Because I'm just running to the bathroom every like 5 minutes during the warm up, just because like, firstly, like the anxiety of not being able to when I'm on court, and just secondly, and I actually have, blood and symptoms like that. So it's just that stuff was really hard to navigate. Driving to training, a lot of my training is like at least a 30-minute drive around here, and that was that's always like
the anxiety there.
It's so it's just like little things like that you just take for granted, really, that I even take for granted now when I'm driving in the morning. I'm like, wow, I don't have to like pull over, or you know what I mean. So
Oh damn. That's wow. I mean, kudos to you, and I'm happy that it seems like it's sorted for. So you did reach top 5 in the world, right now 9, and I'm curious, you were kind of earlier alluding to the fact that you felt a bit lost in your game and you're trying to find new ways and methods, but talk through like what's this like, especially the past 2 years, especially you've reaching the highest world ranking and kind of dropping but still in it, and kind of looking back at your results this season too. It isn't bad by any means. I guess the expectations you have on yourself is much higher, but like it's not like there were any huge upset losses throughout the season. It's really just like that 4 to 10, like maybe a match or two there, and then obviously the big 3. But I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this past season in particular, and also like what do you think the gap is between the big 3 and all that?
Yeah, I think obviously I've definitely been very disappointed with this season. I think the past few seasons have been like great for me, I would say. So my expectations are quite high, and this season I didn't get a top 10 win until the World Tour Finals, and obviously I qualified for the World Tour Finals by default. So going the whole season without getting a top 10 win was just really frustrating for me, and kind of highlighted the clear like kind of pitfalls in my game, I guess, that and also highlighted that the tour is just getting stronger and it's just getting harder and harder. And I kind of towards the end of the season, I suppose, not feeling sorry for yourself, but you can tell when you have confidence and you believe in yourself, because those results are very frustrating and like you're annoyed and you just are like, what is going on? And then towards the end of the season, where I felt like even more and more kind of lost and not that happy with my game, I was just more accepting of it and didn't really put up as much of a fight as I usually would have. And I think that just reflects the mindset that I had, where I was just kind of kind of had that mindset of, okay, maybe you're not good enough to be calling yourself a top 10 player anymore, blah, blah, blah. And obviously I didn't like that mindset, which is why I wanted to make like a change if I could and try something new, because I don't want to just be someone who, made top 5 a couple of seasons ago and now is just like dropping. I want to still be in and around that level and pushing on. So it just showed that I just needed to do something to change up what I was doing, because going the whole season without a top 10 win I think just reflects the level I was playing at. So yeah, like you said, it wasn't bad by any means. I mean, everyone is just so incredibly good now, and everyone is fighting for those top ranking spots. But yeah, I'm hoping that I can, do a bit better next season, but we'll see.
I mean, yeah, I'm excited for you, but it's interesting. I just feel like this past 2-3 seasons, no one's been able to hold the 4 spot. It's been switching around that 4 to 10, and like I don't know. Like obviously, the media, it seems like it's pushing. Like Olivia Weaver has pushed ahead from the rest of the pack, which I think it's a bit. I mean, credit to her; she's had a fantastic season, but it just seems like no one's really solidified and really actually proven to crack into the big 3. And I was just curious to get your thoughts on that 4 to 10. Do you feel great? Like you feel confident? Like the depth behind it, or like how far behind do you even think? Like when you're training, do you feel like you're heading towards the big 3 right now, or is it more so like I need to right now take a step to the top?
Yeah, I think like if you asked me this 2 years ago, I'd have said, yeah, I want to make inroads to that 4 spot and then the big 3. But now 100%, I feel like there's a big a big gap between. I don't want to speak for the others, but I think definitely Liv and Orphe are obviously the next 2 who are very close to the top 3. I think either of them could win a platinum this season for sure. And I would say those 2 are the only ones probably who have shown that they can consistently get close and perhaps, have a back-to-back win. Because if you're going to win a platinum, you're going to have to beat 2 of those players. And I think those Orphe and Liv are showing that they definitely have the capabilities to do that, and I'm pretty sure that both of them, one of them, if not both of them, will do that this season. So I think there is a gap between there's maybe a little gap between 3, 4 and 5, and then 6 and 10 is another level, I think. So my headspace is just kind of solidifying myself back in that 6 to 10 bracket, and then kind of figuring out the next level.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so many intricacies there, but
sure, yeah.
Gina, obviously you've held the number 1 spot for England squash now for a couple years now, a couple seasons now, and obviously, I mean, it's in good standing for England squash. There's like Jasmine Hutton on the rise, who's had a great season, and Katie Mallett. There's been a lot of hype behind her. You guys won the European teams events, and I was just curious, do you feel a different type of pressure being England number 1 and how rich the history is behind it, or is that something you don't really put in the back burner?
Honestly, not really. I think when I'm playing like nationals and stuff, then I feel the pressure a bit more, because I want to live up to being the British number one, so want to prove that, etc., etc. But I don't think I feel it when I'm playing PSA events so much. I think I'm more kind of, yeah, not, I don't want this to sound bad, but yeah, I'm more, when I'm playing PSA events, I more think of it from like a self a self point of view.
No, nothing wrong with that. Yeah.
England squash. So yeah, I don't really feel too much pressure. Although, yeah, obviously when you're playing English players, then all of us want to kind of be at the top of the tree, I guess. So there's definitely more rivalry with the inter-country battles.
Yeah. I guess my follow-up then would be, there's obviously the Olympics news is huge, and I think it's talked about enough at this point, but I'm sure there's a little immense pressure in terms of England being able to perform in that event when it comes around. And
yeah,
speaking of, the self, or like selfishly, do you feel like they're setting you guys up for success so far? Like, just speaking on your behalf, or is there anything that you think they could do to improve?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're definitely doing everything that they can to give us the best possible opportunity to excel at the Olympic Games. The issue is we don't have much funding. So I think when you compare us to like the US, and you see, all the programs that the US are doing, and all the like the grassroots, the programs that they've got, and how well they're performing at the junior level, and we're kind of falling behind. It's difficult to compare because our governing body just doesn't have the funding, so we cannot fund the pros the way that the Americans can. I can't speak for other countries or governing bodies, but yeah, it's obviously tough for England squash when we get into the Olympics and then our funding gets cut even further. It's just
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So it's just like a bit of a slap in the face to, all the players and all the people who work so hard behind the scenes to kind of do what they can for us. So I would say that England squash do an incredible job of doing the best with what they've got. It's just the issue is we don't have much funding, so we can't, give more pros money to try it. It's obviously not a lucrative sport anyway, so it's hard to kind of entice a good junior to go pro when you can't really afford to give them a paycheck. So I think that is the fundamental issue with England squash, unfortunately.
Oh my God, I didn't know that. That's crazy. I thought they would have increased the funding.
And I'm not spilling numbers. Like there is money that they're giving us, but when I know how much money the US gives and how much they have, and it's just, you can't compare. It's just like the difference is just astronomical. So when you compare it on that level, you understand why the US is kind of flourishing and doing so well at the moment, and then perhaps England are falling behind a little bit in that sense.
Have you spoke up about this, or it's just such common news that there's like nothing to be done?
Yeah, well, I think, like I said, they're very transparent, and they're good. They want to help us. They want to give us as much as they can. It's just, like that. Like I said, our funding literally got cut when we got into the Olympics. So it's kind of just like, gosh, what can you do at that
How
point?
convenient.
So I don't think that it's not like, I don't think like me as a player, I'm definitely not complaining about England squash are great, and I think they do a really, really good job. It's just a shame that we can't get more money from UK sport, I guess.
Yeah, you would think, given England's success in the past. But kind of switching gears here, there's one question I wanted to ask you was, Gina, obviously every player operates differently in terms of squash being an individual sport, and I feel like some people don't like mixing friendships with competitors, and it seems pretty apparent on the fans' perspective here that you're incredibly well liked amongst your peers and competitors, and you seem to get along with everyone. You seem to have good friendships, and how do you separate friendships from jumping on court with them? Quite candidly,
yeah, that's a good question. I've always found that hard, to be honest. Like when I was growing up, my best friend was my biggest competitor in Kent and in England. She was number 2 in England. I was number 1 in England, and she was just like my best friend. And then even now coming on tour, I feel like so many of the players I would call, some of my closest friends. And I think it's nice because, you know, I'm still a very competitive person. So when I step onto court, I still want to beat them as much as I want to beat anyone else. But I think just finding a way to separate that as soon as you get off the court is the most important thing. And you know, we're away from our families all year long. So the people that we surround ourselves with on tour who are our rivals are kind of like our second family. So I would hate to kind of go around and not. It's hard not to form these friendships when you're with them so much, you know, at the end of the day. So I like love that part of it, and I love forming friendships and meeting people and being around different people from different walks of life. So that's like one of my favorite things. I always speak to some players about it, and it's like when I look back on my career, you know, my favorite memories, of course, are going to be the matches that I've won, and I'll be gutted about the tough matches that I lost. But the best memories I'll have is definitely the times off court that I spent with my friends, with the players, when we're just, you know, doing nonsense probably, but just those are like the memories I think that are gonna stick with me longer than those wins or losses.
Have people critiqued you from like maybe your family, like, stop being so close with these people, like you need to have that killer instinct, or they just know you too well that that's not gonna?
Yeah, not critique like that, but I do think maybe on court sometimes, I don't know, when you get to the top of the game, you realize that, you know, you can't be too nice. So I suppose, I don't want to call myself too nice or whatever, but I definitely have been criticized for being on court and being too nice on court, because I've always been, I don't know, just like afraid of upsetting people, which is silly, because when you get onto court, like you've just got to you got to put that aside. So I think I've definitely been criticized for that part of it, but off court, I don't think, you know, I can definitely separate it. So if anyone criticized me for having too many friends off court, then I would say that I don't really care for your opinion. Thank you.
That's your problem, not mine.
Exactly, yeah. But on court, I agree. Maybe I need to sometimes be a bit more ruthless.
That's so hard though. Like if your personality isn't that, like it's hard to implement that on court either.
Yeah. It's honestly it's really hard. I struggle with that, yeah. And even in training, it's just like you need to practice it, and I just don't. So yeah, it's hard.
But cool. So the big question I had also was in terms of, I think essentially since you joined the tour, there's been this whole movement fiasco it's been taking turns of like every year of like different ways of like movement with players, and there's also been the whole referee nonsense about and clamp down every year, and it's not been getting resolved. I think every year it might be a quiet couple months during the off season, and then it blows up again in the middle of the season. And like more recently, there's been the Olympics news, and then there's been like the no talk back to the refereeing, and then there's been the movement confusion, obviously with the whole YouTube channel with QuashBadSquash.
Yeah,
I don't know if you've seen any of that, but it's obviously focuses more on the men's game. That needs to be said here, but it does highlight some movement in the women's game as well. To the degree you can, what are your thoughts on this? Like, has this affected how you view squash and your love for the game? What's been your whole take on this? And it clearly seems like you've seen a couple of the videos too on.
Yeah, so I've only seen the psa ones though. So
oh, really?
I can't comment on the female ones because I've actually only seen, but maybe I need to do my research. I don't know. I think it draws attention to the game, doesn't it? I think you need some controversy. I think people can have their opinions, and then it's great to be able to have a forum where you can kind of argue your love or your hate or whatever. And I think, you know, if you're a professional footballer, you're getting trolled constantly all day long. Yeah. So I'm not saying it's right to hate on people, but I think if you're being spoken about enough, you're relevant enough to be spoken about, which is also quite cool. So I think if someone's taken the time to make these videos about players, they clearly think they're relevant enough and good enough to be spoken about, and for other people, you know, fans of squash, non-fans of squash, to watch it and also to have their take on it. So I think it it's a good way to open discussion about the game, which I think is a good thing. I think we want to draw attention to the sport. I don't want to say, I think I don't like someone being targeted so much, but if they're doing it to other players, then I think it's good, because not good, but then I think it doesn't. You don't want to just like, tunnel vision on one player.
When when you're at these events, do you watch some of the men's matches?
I do, yeah. I love watching the men's matches. Yeah.
Do you like, maybe you're sitting next to a friend? Do you guys like talk about, is that the movement thing? Do you guys talk about it while watching? Being like, we don't do that in the women's game, so like I'm a bit confused of what's happening there. What are there some discussions? I'm just curious about amongst players.
Yeah,
because it's funny, because obviously like maybe everyone has playing background, but it's different. It's a different perspective, like amongst players who are actually at the events watching live.
For sure.
Who's in the modern game.
Yeah, it's honestly, it's the same as kind of outside the squash world. I think it is so hard to see. Like honestly, that, for example, that Joel Makin and Asal match in Optasia.
Yeah.
I was watching it and I was thinking, what the hell? Asal's not doing anything wrong. Like, what's going on? And then you see this video that comes out and you're just like, what on earth? Like, I can't believe I believed that nothing was going on when it is. And that's happened to me a few times when I've been like, why is this person complaining? And then you see the replay and you're like, oh my God. So yeah, when we're watching, a lot of us watch the matches together when we're in our hotel room at night, bored, and we're watching squash TV, and we're talking about the movement a ton. So it's a conversation that comes up a lot. And we speak about the women as well. When we're watching women's matches, we're like, oh my God, like X player moves well. Like, people get reputations, and if that is your reputation, that is what you speak about when you're watching. And it can definitely cloud your vision as well. You can be like, oh my God, did you see that movement? And if it was another player doing it, you wouldn't even bat an eyelid. So I think it's the same conversations that non-professional players have. It's just a debate, always a constant debate.
I mean, it's got us talking more, so I guess can't be. It's generating more buzz, as you said. It's so cool to see that you guys are actually talking about it as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I think we're like, genuinely, a conversation would be like, oh my God, how bad was that? And another person would be like, what? He didn't do anything wrong there. What are you talking about? And it's literally two players can have complete opposite opinions, So I think that shows how hard it is for the referees.
That's fascinating. And then I feel like you don't really engage with the referees that much at all, but so I guess, are you fine with the whole don't talk back to the refs, because you're like, I don't really talk to them anyway? Or has that frustrated you to a certain degree?
It's frustrated me watching, I think. Like, when I see, and I'm like, wow, they're getting penalized for no reason. But then I'm so confused, because some people are allowed 1 minute rants and they don't get penalized. So I'm just like really confused by it all, to be honest. And yeah, I don't really talk back to the ref. So I've never had like a personal issue with it, or a personal experience where I've felt unfairly kind of targeted or whatever. But I find it very frustrating as a player when I'm watching, and some people are getting away with saying so much stuff, and some people can't say anything at all. So I just think, every match I turn on, I'm just like, I've no idea how this is gonna play out, to be honest.
It's based on reputation. I feel like if you have a good reputation, they allow you to talk and stuff.
I know. No, yeah, it 100% is like. So it's just, I don't know, it doesn't make sense a lot of the time. But then you see some people have some outbursts and you're like, how are they? Some of the outbursts are crazy and they're not getting penalized.
Yeah.
So I'm like, why are they not getting penalized?
Quick side. Have you ever been fined from PSA?
I haven't, no.
You might be one of the very, very few players who might enter your career without a single fine. I feel like there's always some nitpicky fine that
like breaking your racket behind the scenes or something. Yeah. Okay, that'll be the goal for next season. Try and get a fine.
Try to be meaner on court.
Yeah, exactly. Try and speak back. See if I can get a conduct warning.
And then one last thing I want to also ask you about was I've been asking a lot of players this season especially, and maybe it's a me thing, maybe I'm reading way too much into it, but the whole glass floor initiative. Some players have said, yeah, it's disgustingly bad. Some players are like, it's actually not too bad. And you've definitely played in it, and I'm curious to get your thoughts on. Am I overreacting, thinking that it looks garbage, like in terms of you guys slipping? Or...
I hate it. I really hate it. I don't know why. Well, I do know why they're doing it. They think it will, reduce stoppages, etc., etc. But yeah, if there is sweat on the floor, which in the men's game happens a ridiculous amount of times, it's unplayable. It's like an ice rink. It's so dangerous. The amount of times this season that we've seen, especially in Australia, like watching that tournament was literally, my jaw was on the floor, how dangerous that was. Yeah. I don't know how the players agreed to play on that. So I just think it's ridiculous. And unfortunately, I don't know. I think when PSA decide on something, I don't want to speak badly of them, but I do think that they don't really listen to the players as much as they listen to like the board or whoever's within, whoever makes those decisions. I think we had that same issue with the like 9-16 seeding. I think players,
that's a good point. Yeah,
most of us, literally, no matter what ranking you were, whether you were 1 to 10, 11 to 20, or even like 50 to 100, the majority of players had the same opinion on that seeding, that it's not fair to not seed the 9-16, yet they don't care. So it just kind of annoys me that they don't listen to players, because we're the ones that this affects a lot more, So I think with the glass floor thing, again, like, even though a lot of us have addressed our concerns,
it's not good enough.
I get to the point where I'm like, is there a point? I don't feel like they really listen that much.
Well, that fucking sucks. Yeah, it's. I'm glad you brought up the rankings.
I'll probably get fined for saying this.
Well, I'll make sure to blow this up on the social media so they can get their eyeballs on it. That's actually so good that you brought the rankings thing up, because I stopped asking that, but I remember having Yao on at the beginning of the year, and he was like, I'm not playing the TOC. And then it sucks to see a fan's perspective, someone ranked that high being like, I don't want to play a platinum event because I'm going to be screwed in the seeding. Why would I? Like, it's much better for me to play a gold tournament and be protected with the seedings.
Well, that's actually, because now I'm outside the top 8 for the first time in a couple of years. That's literally my thought process now. So I don't want to speak too soon, but I'm like really considering not playing the US Open, because I just think I can get better points from doing a silver or a gold. So for the first time I'm thinking, right, I might just try and work the system to my advantage then.
Yeah, I mean, as you should. As a fan, it's like, what the heck? We want Gina Kennedy in the top events. So it's like, it makes no sense to me. It honestly does.
I know, it's ridiculous. And I would like to find if you find a player who thinks it's a good idea, let me know, because I am yet to find one. Yet still, when we all express our concerns, like, nothing changes.
When you guys have a complaint like that, it seems like the rankings thing was like a big discussion. Do you guys just email them? Like, how does this work? Do you just talk to Lee Drew, being like, hey, what's going on?
Yeah, I think you can email, and then there are like meetings. So we had like a player meeting in Hong Kong where if you wanted to attend, you could. I think they have to get a minimum of X amount of players attending to discuss like these topics. And if you are there, then you can like express your opinion and debate it. And yeah, I went to one in Hong Kong, and everyone
how'd that go?
Everyone hated the 9-16 ranking, but here we are, still.
Wait, so they just listened to you and they go like, heard you, but we're gonna wrap up the meeting here.
They argue.
They argue back.
Yeah, and I can't remember, but yeah, they make some good points as well. But I remember even like Sarah Cardwell, who's obviously I'm not sure what her ranking is, but you would think for the lower ranked players it would benefit them to not see the 9-16 because you get more opportunity. But even those players were saying, well, it's not fair, and it's not really how like professional sport should work. It's
not how it should be based
on kind of yeah, like standard and results, not just like, oh, I lost number 9, drew the number 1 in the first round. But
yeah, it's a joke.
Yeah,
it's a joke.
I'll get my fine for saying this. Probably.
Yeah, well, you already achieved your first goal this season here, getting a fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Not fair. Yeah. But I'll quickly move on, and hopefully no one listens to this podcast. But I'll do the last thing, which is it's a fun blind rankings I've been doing, because obviously I did the quick fire with you last time. I don't know if you know blind rankings, where I just give you. I'll give you 5 different names, and you rank them accordingly, and you don't know what names goes next. Ready?
Yeah.
All right. First name is Noran Gohar.
2.
Second name is Laura Massaro.
Yeah, legend, world champion, obviously. I'm going to go 4.
4. Next name is Nicole David.
1, love her.
1. And then Norel Sherbini.
Shit. Love Norel Sherbini as well. I'll have to put her at 3, but 3. Nor, I wish I put you at 1. I'm sorry.
And then the last name would be Raneem. Oh, Lily. So she'll be 5. If I let you switch one of the names, how would you switch it?
I would want Norel Sherbini number 1.
Has she always been your undisputed GOAT, or after this World Champs?
No, I think Nicole David was my undisputed GOAT for years, but now, Norel Sherbini, I think, takes it.
Is the GOAT. Yeah, fair enough. I think a lot of people would agree with you on that one. But yeah, Gina, I'll wrap it up there. Went a little over 40 minutes, so thank you for your time here. But yeah, as always, appreciate it, and I'm really sorry you might be getting a fine after this one.
Yeah, don't worry, I'll invoice you.
But appreciate you, and wrap it up there, folks.